Yo. Yo. Okay. That's what happens when people call you in the middle of a video. How many synths do you need to perform live? That's today's video. Let's go do it right now. Hey, what's up? I'm Analog Kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe, hit that notification bell, because whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you will not miss out on anything. Stay tuned till the end of this video. I'll tell you all about how to get in touch with our ever-growing community, which is on Patreon and of course on Discord. If you don't know by now, well, now you know. I also tell you who my new patron is, who exclusively told me not to mention his name, but I will make an attempt because it is a difficult one, but stay tuned for that. Now, on today's topic, and it comes from me getting my agenda filled up actually. I'm doing Paradigm Festival, which is cool. I'm very happy that that's confirmed. I'm doing Hunkering Festival. Then there's the Kitchen Club, obviously. So I've got so many gigs coming. One thing that I want to do, I want to be the record. And that's important. Then again, I'm also an insecure musician, as most of us are, really. You know what I mean? So, okay, you want to bring this one thing and then you want to bring this other thing. And the manufacturers are not helping. You are not helping. Electron, Akai, Novation, and Moog, and Oberheim, and whatever. And we all have gas. Gas is the worst in the world. So you are thinking now, how do I, when I perform, come across convincingly? What sounds do I need? Do I need this pedal? Do I need this? Do I need such and such? And of course, the more you bring, the better you sound. Now, this also stems from working in the DAW, because you can just like stick whatever plugin and whatever reverb and delay, whatever, you can stick that on your track and it's just no problem whatsoever. However, when it comes to just playing Dawless, then there is dilemma, yeah? Then you get to this like, okay, so I've got this one synth, it doesn't come with any effects. Okay, I need an effect. You know, you just keep adding stuff, and then you need a bigger mixer because you're bringing more stuff. Stereo, that means 2 channels, so yes, how much stuff do you want to bring? And if you're flying, how much stuff can you take on a plane? There's so many questions. My first setup that I had was amazing, and I mean, the long video is up on my channel, so if you're new, go and check it out. That's 1 hour and 40 minutes of me just performing in an empty warehouse, and I really love that set. I still do love it to bits, but it was a bit tedious to just like take that case with me when I was performing, especially if you're doing DJ oriented Dawless live sets. It means you have to just now get into a cramped DJ box, which is not always handy. Promoters do not always follow the rider, so you know, sometimes you're struggling for space. And I was thinking, can I condense my set down to a few sort of like pinnacle synthesizers or sound sources, and then work a whole live set into it? You know, let's just go into it, and I'll actually go through how I set up a song to perform live. So once you know how I set up a song, then you also know how many synthesizers I'm using. So is there a be all and end all? No. There is a video on my channel that says, do you really need all those synthesizers? It's much of the same debate, really, you know, but I think we can get away with a few sound sources. So again, how many synths would you need to make a convincing live set? Let's go get it. Yeah, you ready? Let's go. Okay, what have I got? It's simple, yeah? Multi-clock is over here. That's the multi-clock by ERM, which is my Swiss Army knife. And today, I've not opted to go with the program change between the Octatrack and the MPC-1. What I have done is those two get their own MIDI pulse of the clock. So I'm on 123 BPM today. So what we're going to do is sync this up with this. Simple. I'll start with the subsequent 37 over here. There's the OB6 right here, and there's a Minitaur. Those are my melodic sound sources, as sometimes I also like to flirt with playing some pads coming out of the MPC-1 because there's plugins in there as well. But for now, I think I'm going to just like resort to those 3 sound sources. What have I got lined up? I've got the drums coming from the Octatrack and the music MIDI sequencing coming from the MPC-1, so that I can switch banks. See, I've got 4 banks lined up right here, and I can switch those to just do something else, really. So I've got breaks programmed. So those are my drums, and that's on channel 1. So let's briefly go over what I have got with the drums. So if you're thinking, what do I need to bring to the stage? Let's condense it down to something small, right? Okay. Not finished telling you anything. There's a small mixer over here, which is the Midas DM12. It's just a small mixer for purposes, just summing everything together. And then I've got my master chain setup, which is a hardware setup chain, which is consisting of a API lunchbox with a 525 compressor and a 550B EQ that's running my kick. And then there's a Neve 1073 preamp on which the whole mixer goes through. So it just warms up the sound. It does something with the sound, which is cool. For now, that doesn't work. But 2 pedals. I've got the Space Echo sitting right here, the RE20, and I've got the Strymon Blue Sky, and those are going to the 2 different aux sends on the Midas mixer. So that is that. Drums first. First, you would like to start with a sound source that's rich and thick. In order for your setup to work out live, it does something different in the studio, and sounds will change. The sound will change from being small and manageable in your ears to, whoa, how come it sounds so wild out in the club? So the sounds that you choose are always also need to consist of some, of all the transients needed in order to make it stand out a little bit more. So we'll play the drums. On track 1, I've got my kick drum. In the other track, obviously, I've got a bit of a disco loop that I have, chopped up. So I processed it ahead of time with a gate. So it's gated very heavily. I've got a noise gate here, so I've really gated it so that instead of the transients, the long transients in between, when you sample stuff off a record, then you get a lot of dirt. And it's cool if you're looking for that vintage sound. If you're sticking a lot of sounds together, you might want to clean certain sounds up. So I clean this up. So it will just do a really percussive thing where you can clearly hear the tick, 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 tick. So think of a ticking clock. That's what I was aiming for with this loop, so that it will sit well within the beat, right? There's also a head that plays 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And I'm not sure why it is doing that. Oh yeah, that's because I programmed it that way. So, all right, cool, no problem. What kind of head is it? 808 close head. So actually, I think this is what we would need, yeah? I was gonna say. All right. Bit on the loud side, so we'll turn that down. Cool. All right, so those are my drums already done, yeah? There's a bit of a shaker head. I always use shakers for heads because they're a little bit more gritty and they will fill up more of the spectrum. If you know a little bit about sound design, or at least how the frequency spectrum works, noise obviously is consisting of every frequency within the spectrum. So if you are looking for a much more of a brush kind of vibe rather than a just heads can be a little bit thin like this. See, this is more of a metallic kind of sound, which is cool because it serves a different purpose in the frequency spectrum. It sits in a different range. But this together with, you see, it just does something else. Now, moving on. So that's the drums. You know, I'm just trying to just keep it nice and concise. 123 BPM, like I said. Then what else have I got? I think that I've got a sample and hold sample coming out of my sample and hold catalyst pack because it needs to drive the beat. Because if my MPC for some reason doesn't work or there's something wrong with the sounds, I can always rely on this one machine to help me out of a situation. I can safely unplug this or restart this. Sometimes you don't need to, but you'll find out you can get into a situation where it's helpful that you at least know how to get yourself out of a bind, right? So then it does this. That's on track 5, by the way. Yeah, track 5. Going to the filter page. Let's hide it in the background a little bit. like to hide it in the background so that it plays, but it doesn't really bug you. Okay, kick out, play this. Nice, right? Yeah, we're going somewhere. Okay, I'm liking this. Bam, 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 bam. Now what have I done? I think I've played around with, yeah, there's a conditional trick here on the kick. Bam. Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah, with the Octatrack you can tell it to just play different speeds. So obviously if you're going to go in and you go to here, what you can do when you see how many steps you are playing, I'm playing 64 steps, which means the 4 banks are completely filled up with everything. So it's 4 bars of music. But I tell the Octatrack on my kick to play half speed. So instead of the 1 divisions which are on the right side on the screen, I'll tell it to just like play half. So what you can see is if I get out of there, bam, 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 tick, 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 tick. Usually it'll go twice as fast. Looking at my head here, see? Boom. And this one goes here. See, so it's different measure, which means that you can play longer samples even. So that's a cool, neat trick. And then there's conditional tricks, so you can tell the Octatrack to play certain tricks not all the time. So that's how I set up the drums. Okay, still going to lower my close head. Right, now moving on. There's another head that I've got to adrenalize what's going on higher up in the frequency spectrum, as you can hear. So more is happening over here. Chip, 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 chip. And there's another loop, and this loop makes it a little bit more melodic techno, yeah? You see how if you are closing track 5, which is the sample and hold, how it's just drums. Now, in order for you to not bring your entire studio, you need to have some sort of a musical hint of sound within your drums, is the way I use it, right? So this, to me, is already what I call house music. It's already that infinite loop that I'm trying to look for. The infinite loop is making sure that it's the pause, it's the hamster wheel, it's what everybody dances to. When you're in the studio as a producer, you're always in a hurry. Your adrenaline tells you, come on man, we need to just do this and we need to do that, faster, faster, faster. But once you get to a club, you'll be surprised to see how patient the crowd actually is, because they're not there trying to find out what the next sound or the next big breakdown is. They're just in the moment. That means that if you can concise your beats to just have that already, I mean, you can dance to this, right? I mean, this will set me up to go like, oh, nice, yeah, I'm feeling the vibe, I'm getting into the vibe. You can look around, see how the room is responding, see how your stage is responding to what you're doing, and then add different things to it. Like, for instance, this hat that we had on 6. Let's make a breakdown, take the kick out, you know, and just place those 2 tricks back in. Next level. Slowly but surely you're crawling and climbing to that adrenaline stuff. Yeah, just making that music just actually work itself, more or less. All right, so see, we're building it up. So not many drums, well, but everything needs to do its part. And within the frequency spectrum, everything needs to sit somewhere, right? So there's multiple things that I can do. This is already hypnotizing, can act as a drop, which is just what track 1, the kick, and track 5, the sample and hold sample. Obviously, the sample and hold sample is being tuned to the loop that's playing on 7 here. Boom. So that's already in the same key, meaning that if I'm losing the sample and hold sample, I'm still on the same chord. So this would be the way to start my track. Starting the track like so, boom, 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 boom. And then the next step would be to add a hat, right? 1, 2, 3, hit. This is amazing. People are like, yeah, standing at the bar thinking, okay, yeah, sounds like it's going somewhere promising. What is going on? Where is he taking me? You know, you have to build a bit of attention, right? Okay, play the close hits. They're already embedded on the sample that I played on track 7, but they're not so predominantly there. So I need to emphasize it a little bit more. Those closed 808 hats are very hypnotic, but at the same time they can irritate very fast, so never turn them up too loud, right? So this is that. All right, moving on. Yeah, and then the track needs to have its engine going, so we'll start with that disco loop. There's a clap embedded in there. Clap, boom, clap, boom, clap. So you got a classic sort of like 4 to the floor pattern with a disco vibe. I love to use disco loops because dance music originated coming from breakbeats, coming out of disco, obviously. So if you need a catalyst to at least make sure you got a basic sort of like groove going, that'll work. I like to cross-pollinate different styles together. So yeah, I'm using a disco loop in a melodic techno sound. I'm not even sure if that is the way it works. I don't care really. This is just the way I work it. So moving on, I think we're now going to go to a point. I'm making a breakdown. I've got some reverb on the master, which I'm going to play in a second, but first let's play the sample and hold sample. Okay, now we're building it up slowly. Nice one, bam, going. This means, because I've already stuck that melodic sample on track 7, it now means that adding the track 5, the sample and hold, it's now going to start to play together. Listen. And does a neat trick. Bum, do, 1, 2, 2, do, do, da, do, da. When it does that, this is something I can emphasize by playing this same thing with my synthesizers. I've played different stuff, but you could actually think, like, where does the track go? I know a lot of people get stuck in this vibe, and they're like, yeah, it's cool, but now what do I play? Where do I take it? I will opt to go and listen to what my drums are doing. You can actually play this with, for instance, a bass line. But this is an entirely different topic for another day. Let's move on. Okay, now that I've got the octave track sorted with the drums, I think it's about time to introduce some sort of the music. As you can see on the mixer here, this is the octave track right there. So if I turn this down, no music, yeah? Okay, simple. So the kick is on 1 because I need to always be in control of my kick. You never know what happens when you get to a venue, and the kick for my music is the most important thing, really, right? I mean, this should not, I shouldn't be screwing around with this. So the stereo output, coming out of the octave track, is going on my, that's where the rest of the music is coming from. And then out of the Q outputs, here on the Q outputs, I've stuck the kick coming out of just one output. So this is just one output. What I've done with that then is it goes into the API launch box. First it goes through the EQ, which is the 550B. Then it goes to the compressor, which is 525, and then it comes out. And what I'm using is not the line input, but I'm using the preamps of this desk, because the preamps of on the Midas are absolutely amazing, rich in the way they handle the sound. So yeah, it's cool, right? So you can hear that it's already rich in sound. Everything is done. Now my OB6 is on the green faders, because getting to a dark environment where I sometimes play, you might want to find your synths fast. This is coming out of the stereos, the green ones. The red ones are on the master, obviously, but what are you doing with the master, right? You're gonna set it and forget it. So take the red caps off. So this one is going to be my Minitaur, then the stereo for the octave track, and then this, because you get to a point where sometimes you make a mistake and you lower the wrong synthesizer. You don't want that to happen either. So okay, so this is not playing right now because I love to just like put all the faders down, and then when I enter the MPC1 where all the sounds are playing, I don't have to just like space all the tracks out if I don't have to. I can just play the one pattern and then just lower the different sounds that I've got played. I've got only 3 synthesizers, so here's the answer to the question if you want to be anal about it. Yeah, I'm using 3 synths, but multiple sound sources, obviously. So the 3 synths could get you there, but I'm also using a sample and hold here, which is in the same key, and I'm also using that tom loop that's also in the same key. So then you've got some music. But let's turn it off as an example and go to the multi-clock and say, you know what, we're liking this. Bam, I'm seeing that I'm here. Let's align stuff up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, play this. Bam. Okay, this is now playing. As you can see the line crawling across the top. The reason that I have to just align those two to start on the same thing is when you're doing techno and just loop-based techno, it doesn't matter, but I'm actually making a track right here, and there is a pattern or a sequence that's playing on my Minitaur that is supposed to play on the drops and the breaks, because you can hear that there's a kick at the end here that does a double row. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah? Or, you know what I mean? So that means that if I'm going to open this up, I'm going to wait 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, bass line. So, and there's a trick that I did with this as well. So first we're going to go root note, go up to the 2nd chord, 2, go up to the 3rd chord, 4th, back to the, yeah, right, cool. Listen to the sample and hold. So the sample and hold keeps you in the ballpark of what the chord is doing. You know, there's nothing going up, there's nothing going down. It's pretty smooth. But this bass line is now playing the melody. Nice. And if you follow this channel, you know that I have got a different cable wired up to this monster right here, because if you can hear, and please forgive me, I've got a crackling volume knob, but listen, there is a diode clipper cable that is on the Minitaur, and if I lower this and I'm up and I'm gain changing it here, listen to what happens. There's a little bit of reso, but it's nice and neat. It's really Moog style, right? It just does its filter thing. But the diode clipper cable now means that if I'm going to feed it more gain, it's going to start to clip the sound. Bit crush the sound a little bit. So first I'm going to there you go. I don't need to overfeed it. Gain changes back, but listen to how it sounds now. Same bass line, right? Listen to what happens when I open the filter. So there's a bit of going on with the kick. Come on, man, you gotta like it. You know what I mean? So I gotta say thanks to Kink and to Konstantin for giving me this cable, obviously. Because yeah, now I can get a little bit more out of my synthesizer. So once again, that means that I don't have to just like now go and get an extra pedal or get another synth or get an analog heat, which is another 700 that I don't want to spend, but I can get there pretty fast. Yeah, I've said analog heat because that means gas, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, all right, which means that going back to my drums, how does this work with taking out that? So with both those melodic samples, bap, sample and hold one. I'm going to turn it off for a second right now. Play the rest of the drums. Nice, okay, so we're there, right? We're there, we're going, it's all going in the right direction. We're having a blast. Okay, now, let's figure out what else we need. What I think that I need in order for this track to just like get uplifting, because this works, but this is more of a, have I got a vocalist, have I got a guitarist, is there something that they play a solo? Something needs to just be working on this track in order for you to just make it stand out and give it a little bit of longevity is what I said. And yeah, so I've got the subsequent playing a nice top lip riff which helps the bass line. Let's take out the bass. Now you understand why I played this loop with the tom on it, because now the subsequent and my drums are starting to do a song and dance, which means that ideally I could just show up with my octatrack and my subsequent and just play this, because it will not tell you that, oh, you need more sounds, you know. So I'm trying to just like look at it as a video game kind of routine. So you need to just like clear a level before you can go to another level, right? So this is done. Yeah. Now as you can hear clearly, that bass line that I had just played from the Minitaur is already embedded in here. But because I'm playing high notes to go play together with the lower notes, it turns into an arpeggio. And then I want to emphasize the low bass notes, because you can only hear it if I'm lowering the filter, maybe. No, the high notes are just too dominant. Yeah, okay. So, and then with the Moog. And because of the richness of the subsequent, I need to have that diode clipper cable on the Minitaur, because otherwise those two are going to eat each other's frequencies, and you know it doesn't really work out that well, right? So, okay. Having said that, it works. I think it works, right? Does it work? Yes, it works. Yes, it works. So, what I would also want to do now is see if I can play some pads, because hey, Mr. Bad Boy over here, obviously you would like to play something else, right? First, let's enter the drums. Nice. Let's open up my subsequent and see what's what. So I'll go to my OB6 here. I've got all my tracks nicely spaced out. So track 1 is I just don't know why Siri's always trying to just like get into the video. Stop it, Siri! Alright, so track 1 is the mini. Track 2 is the subsequent. Track 3 is the OB6. And then I can place on track 4, I can place the tube synth, right? So which means that that's coming from the MPC1. I'm still out on that one a little bit, because yeah, what's the difference between playing plugins from this? It's more like a diode than a DAW in a box. So I'm trying to just like keep it to the synths that you need. But if again you're pressed for money, you can just do the same routine. Maybe bring a Minitaur, just the octatrack if you have one or something similar, and then just this one and just play the synths from here, you know? That's up for debate. Right, cool. OB6. now you just vary with where you want it to go. You see my drums are just sitting there, playing tom. And the different things should do different tasks as well. So for instance, if I want to play the strings a little bit more, I just take my music out. Let's just go like this. And because of the nature of my sample and hold, staying on the same root note, same chord, as well as the drum staying on the same chord. So you can just build up the track nicely or wind the track down nicely, take out the strings and build your outro. I'm liking this. So this is how I pretty much set it up. So it's a simple concept really, but you need to just get into it. I mean, obviously I'm using like big ass synths for this, but I mean, this can work with whatever. It even works if you don't play Dawless, but this is my philosophy. So build a house up from the ground, know what you're looking for, but make sure that whatever you stick in the music serves a purpose. Now maybe it turned out to be a little bit more of advanced. I think it's simple, but it could be a complicated concept. But you're just listening to the octa track right now, right? So just a few drums. Start simple. So boom, kick drum, disco loop, close head, shaker head, sample and hold, open head. This you will play later in the track, or whenever you see the people are used to whatever they've heard, you just build it up gradually. So you just move from left to right, really, right? Kick, okay, 1, 2, 3, nice one, chip, boom, boom. Nice drop. There's delays, obviously, as you can hear. Those are the pedals. Right. Nice. So this is playing. Play ahead. Slowly but surely building it up. Never in a hurry. I used to rush myself in the beginning most of the time, but just never be in a hurry, right? Kick out, loop. Play the subsequent without a kick. Close head. strings. Strings coming from the Akai. And as you can see, I've got my kit mute on two different places. One is on here and one is on here. So it depends on if I'm filtering down. I don't want to be fiddling about with, whoa, you know, I'm right-handed. So I do a lot of the steering with my right hand. So then I'll just mute it here with left thumb. And then if I'm doing something else, you know, I can mute the kick like so. If I'm over here with this sound, you know, wheel my kick here. All the way around. Playing it here. This whole, and I need to just like say like enter the bass line in. Now I've only one hand. So 1, 2, 3, going like with the bass line. So that's just, you know, your setup works in your way and is unique to how you play. But obviously, yeah, with the synths, I hope that that it's helpful. I hope that it opens up a bit of like, okay, wait, I can do more with my synths, or maybe I can look at it in a different way. This was my purpose today, to show you that there's actually a lot possible with not having a lot of synths or not using a lot of synths. It's not necessary. I mean, it looks cool, and it's cool if you can bring like whatever you have, but yeah, sometimes it's even cooler to just like show up with a skeleton setup and work it that way. I like to welcome Sieran. I tried it. I'm not even gonna go into your last name, mate, but you specifically asked me on Patreon not to mention it because I might butcher it, but I think Sieran is your first name, so I will go with that. Thank you for joining up on patreon.com/Analog Kitchen. All right, so Patreon, that's where we actually get together, we congregate, that's where we talk, but the magic is in the Discord app that I've got like bridged to Patreon, which means that if you have more questions than answers, which is what happens with a lot of us Dawless cats, then that might be the place. I mean, it is really metabolizing into something, because with the new club, the kitchen club that I have in Dordrecht, which is in Holland, just south of Rotterdam, I've got like Holy Thursdays who booked a ticket, he's coming over to play. I've got Lukte doing a live set. Next month I've got Tough Junks coming over and playing. So yeah, this thing where I think a club should consist of people doing convincing performances, hence my either you play vinyl or you play live or you're not playing, you know what I mean, that's gonna be a cool thing. Yeah, okay, so there's a people that are going to be excluded. Well, I'm sorry, you know what I mean, that's just how it works, you know what I mean. If you're playing soccer on in the weekends, you know, the coach is not gonna tell you, no, don't worry about it. No, that's how I think a performance should be. Everybody should work their utmost to make it a convincing performance for you. So that's what the Kitchen Club is all about, and it's really working. But that community starts on my Patreon/Discord connection. So we talk about gas, we talk about synths, we talk about travel. Mostly you got demos, I want people to listen to you, boom. You know, just drop it in the demo corner. You know, you want to talk about how you strayed into the dark side and still worked with Ableton At one point when you were too hungover to think on, do I need my synthesizer? No problem, we've got a confession corner as well. You know what I mean? So it's a cool community, like-minded folks, as well as developing equipment. You know, like I'm working on a mixer that I'm also doing with a few of the patrons. Working on this Dawless mixer. I'm not going to get into what it's going to be exactly, as we are still developing stuff at the minute, but it's going to be a cool form factor Dawless mixer, or a mixer catered to a Dawless performance. Now, I guess that, yeah, get in touch if you want to make some music with me as well, because that's what we're setting up as well. So the club is already set up now. The Making Music is set up. Me and Compass are working on this EP that is going to be finished soon. It's going to be finished soon. So Compass and myself, which is cool because he made some sounds on this modular synthesizer, send it over to me. I worked it into my Dawless setup, and that's the way we work it. So it's really cool. So that is also on my Patreon page. I'm going on. All right. So that is that. If you're in my neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, just get in touch. It's exciting times at the minute. So as I said, a lot of shows is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start filming that as well, so you know what this looks like. So Paradigm Festival, Hunkering Festival, which one is, I've got Achtertuin Festival. It's just amazing, you know what I mean? There's a lot of gigs that are coming up over the summer. So I'd like to take you on my journey and my quest to see what I can do with the synthesizers. Now, I think that I concluded everything for today. If not anything else, I'll catch you next week on another video. Analog Kitchen out!